conversation. Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I'm delighted to be joined by Kevin McCluskey and James McKenzie to talk about the first 45 at Tynecastle. James, it couldn't really have gone any better, could it?
Yeah, I think the boos around the ground as the teams were walking into the tunnel at half-time really tell the story of how that first half went. It was real one-way traffic. Celtic are clearly on their game, well set up. Hearts are clearly not on their game. They haven't really threatened at all, bar a chance. I think it was Vargas that got in behind and got a shot off, but it was a routine save for Joe Hart. There's no space for that to go in. The goals, they were really well crafted. There was, we'd hope for maybe perhaps a couple more chances, but that's really nitpicking. It's just a complete performance in that first half.
Yeah, it has been, Kevin. And as James said, there was only one moment, and it wasn't due to particularly bad defending or an error on the side of Scales. I think Scales played the boy, but he was behind him, and he just basically narrowed that angle, and Joe Hart made the save. Yeah, he does the right thing. You're right, and there's no complaints from a defensive perspective today, Kevin. I think they've been solid. That's for you, Kevin.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry. I think I dropped out, but I'm hopefully back in now. But yeah, I've been, even despite that drop-off, I think I've probably been more present today than the Hearts team has in that opening 45 minutes. It was really, really controlled from our point of view. One of the best 45 minutes we've probably had so far this season. And I think part of it is just we've just controlled the game. We've really bossed the whole narrative of that first half. We've controlled the game. Lots of nice passing. One of the things I picked up on in the first few games under Rodgers, and this is great to see it's changing, is that we were really static, and you could kind of feel that the players were trying to get used to some new system, new way of playing.
Mm-hmm.
All the movement seemed to just be in straight lines up and down the park, and no one was given variation. That first 35 minutes certainly was full of that. There was boys making runs off the ball. We were playing angled passes. We were playing neat 1-2s. There was quick interchanging at the edge of the box, and Hearts have had no answer to it. It's been a very, very good first half, and the two goals that we've got have just been like something else. Right, that pass from Palma, the finish from O'Reilly is unbelievable. By the way, to watch that ball coming over his shoulder and get it in the volley across the goal, but the pass from Palma is unreal as well. Just to pick him out on the run, and that's just been our whole first half performance today. Everything we've tried that's been a wee bit different just come off, and that's why we're 2 up, and we're really just showing a wee bit of class.
No, you're right. 3 minutes into the game is when that goal arrived. We'll talk about the finish, but I think we also need to speak about Palma and the part he played, James. We have been waxing lyrical about Matt O'Reilly all season. In fact, I think since he signed we have been, but this season in particular, and last time round we were going on around add goals to his games, and he takes his game to another level. Well, he's doing that. What's that? His 6th goal of the season, top goal scorer for Celtic. And Kevin, you used the word about control. That finish was so controlled. He never lashed at it. It was such a controlled finish. Brilliant on the turn, beautifully done. Matt O'Reilly, what a season he is having.
Absolutely tremendous. He's been our standout player, the most consistent. I say it in the blog all the time. I'll say Matt O'Reilly, the most consistent player for Celtic this season. It's probably one of my most used phrases in that blog. And we saw it with his call-up during the week. That's a real bit of recognition for his form this season. He's always been good for Celtic, but this is a completely new level. I spoke about how well-rounded he is, and you're seeing that today. He's been great today. I thought even the other midfielders, I think Rio Hatate, he's had a couple of maybe dodgy moments defensively, but going forward, he's been very good. I think Cal McGregor's went under the radar, but I think he's been really good. There's a moment where he completely stops the Hearts attack, and then he breaks past about 2 or 3 Hearts players.
Brilliant.
But he can't get the ball to Dice Maeda in the end. But just little things like that. I think Matt O'Reilly, it's a phenomenal finish, as you mentioned. It's well controlled, but for me, that's all about the pass from Luis Palma. It was just the way that I've described him on the blog. He's not the fastest player, but he seems really good technically, and he really made that goal happen. don't know how we saw that run from Matt O'Reilly coming. It's none of the Hearts defenders saw it. He completely ghosts in behind, and it's a great finish.
Yeah, it was a brilliant finish. Aileen Feeks is coming in to say Matt's goal was exquisite. Yeah, the superlatives are flowing in the comments, and it was top drawer, says Mark E. Now, Danny Boy also comes in to say that Scales is a great advert for Brendan's coaching. He's just a different player. Tell Matt to get shin pads on. It just needs one psychopath to end his career. I think he's got them on, but they're the wee tiny ones, Kev. It's a modern thing, isn't it? They're just tiny wee shinnies, and no, back in our day, they were about half a stone in weight, the shin guards.
I was going to say, I don't know if it's just because I'm a wee guy and I've got small legs, but I remember the shin pads used to go basically from my knees down to my ankles. And like you say, if you ever got them wet, which happened pretty often when I used to play, then they'd weigh a ton. So
I know.
Fair play to Matt if he's cutting about in this game with those tiny little ones that they seem to wear now. But just want to say on his goal again, and that word that you used, the control, and that he didn't lash it. Is that not exactly what we said about his goal up at Motherwell in the 97th minute in that game?
Yeah,
And
you're
again,
right.
that's the measure of that player. Like it doesn't come by fluke. That's him. He works hard at that to get himself into those chances. And he does the same at Motherwell as well with the run. James, since you're saying that, how does Palma spot him? He makes the same run, like ghosting in at the back behind the Motherwell defence in that game. And this one, it's to the front post, but again, it's ghosting in. No one picks him up. Excellent pass, but it's controlled. He doesn't lash at it, and that doesn't come by fluke. That's the sign of a quality player at work.
You know this, I remember speaking to Kevin Graham about body shape, not because I'm some kind of football pervert when it comes to how to shape yourself, but when you look at Matt O'Reilly, the goal that you mentioned against Motherwell, where he lays the ball off against Lazio, because he's got the body shape right, the balance and the weight of the ball is perfect, and it's the same again today, because he's not having to adjust the shape of his body to, wrap his foot around that ball. It's perfect. He's absolutely perfect. And you've got the ball. We need to talk about Palma, because I think in the first half, Palma has been a player who has shown a creativity. I'm not comparing him directly to Jota, a creativity, though, that we've been lacking and that we've missed since Jota left the building, James. I'm not saying he's a direct replacement. He's a completely different player, but he does give you that flair, doesn't he?
Yeah, I wrote a piece on it a few days ago, actually, on the wingers we currently have at our disposal. Who looks to be the most likely Jota replacement? We're not going to like-for-like replace him, because we can't buy a £25 million player. But what we can do is buy a player who can turn into a £25 million player. And Luis Palma's shown some really good early signs. He has got the flair, the creativity, and I think he's going to become a real fan favourite over the next few years he's at the club. You see it. The fans really fall for players like the little chip was beautiful. The fans really get drawn to players who can do the magnificent, the extraordinary, and they can pull out some fantastic strikes. We've already seen 2 crackers scored from it already. Then a Celtic shot. And I picked him to be in the score sheet. It's 2-0. The goals seem like they're starting to flow. So I'm going to keep that prediction going. I think we'll still see Palma on the score sheet in the second half.
That would be great to see. There's a few points coming through before we get on to the second goal. Opinionated Glaswegian OG, you know there are just a few rules on a Celtic state of mind. One of them is we do not compare a footballer to a Rolls Royce. You're going to have to come up with something different. And we never say it's been a roller coaster. You've got to come up with some other kind of ride at the fairground. It can't be a Rolls Royce. So come back to me on that one. DJ of choice. I'm bringing this up because there's a couple of similar points. The first one, actually, that I'll bring up is Jamie Young saying that Hatate keeps losing the ball, then winning it back. He's good, though. I think on that point, what I was going to say is that the only thing stopping us for the 3, 4, 5 goals is just a wee bit of slackness in the final ball. But there's been a few moves today where they've kind of fizzled out. The passage of play was phenomenal. The passing movement was brilliant, and then they fizzled out a wee bit. So I get what Jamie's saying. The DJ of choice takes it one step further. In my opinion, we had 2 or 3 nice moves, but it's been pretty loose in general. Hearts were making it easy for us, though, but started to come into the game at the end of the half. What do you make of that, Kev?
I'll agree with the latter half of that. I think Hearts did come into it a little bit more towards the end. as I said, I think the first 35 minutes was some of the best football we've played this season, or the most controlled football we've played this season.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with what I've seen. Yeah, I would agree Hearts did come into it a little bit towards the end, but they still never created anything or looked like they were going to trouble us. It was just that one chance from Vargas after about 12 or 13 minutes or something like that, and that's been it. Yeah, but maybe going forward from our perspective, we could still be a little bit sharper. But what I've enjoyed though is the fact that we're trying things a wee bit different. Right, we're not just running in straight lines anymore. There's angled runs, there's angled passes. There's noticed a few times we're kind of playing a ball in the channel and then it's a first time cut back or it's a first time square pass. We're not dwelling on the ball now. So, it's not always going to work every single time, but we're trying things. And maybe Hearts just aren't that great in opposition, and that's why it's coming off more often than not, or we're getting the chances to keep on at them. But I've been really happy with that first half. And if we can keep up the same kind of momentum in the start of the second half, I don't see why we can't get another couple of goals in that second 45.
I hope so. I hope you're right. Loopy 33, one of the talking points leading to this game was the paltry allocation of tickets to Celtic fans under 600. I seen them at the beginning of the game holding up flags of Palestine as well. And when you look at the empty seats, isn't making Tarts play any different, any better, rather, nobody wins here. No, you're right. It's not making them play any better, so they can't use that as a reason for doing that. They've not sold the seats, so they can't use the fact that their own fans are going to benefit by getting tickets that Celtic fans otherwise would have had. It seems like a completely pointless endeavour, James. And as you said, as they trundled off at half-time, they were being booed by the fans who have bothered to buy a ticket.
Now, what was the argument for cutting the allocation in the first place? Was it to give Hearts more of a sporting advantage on the park by having more fans in the ground? Because that doesn't really seem to have worked out in that first half. You never want to see empty seats. We know with the money that goes around in Scotland, there's two teams that have a decent amount of money, then the rest of the teams don't really have that money. So you'd think you would be looking to sell as many tickets as possible for these games to build up that money to then try and buy the players to help you compete with a team like Celtic. So it doesn't seem like cutting the allocations worked so far. But we need to see how that one goes. Brendan Rodgers has spoken on it. He said he wanted a certain percentage for away fans. I think with the Celtic manager speaking about it publicly in the media, it'll probably be something that will be addressed eventually by some higher power.
A higher power. We do have a higher power. I'm just not sure if they're all that powerful when it comes down to it. This point here leads us into the second goal. John Toll might be our best 45 of the season. You're echoing what Kevin's been saying there. Matt O'Reilly's been outstanding. And I think he was outstanding in the second goal as well, Kevin. He played his part alongside Rio Atati. The ball was bundled in. There was a VAR check, but 2-0 up. Maida's on the score sheet.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the VAR check took so long as well, even though, it was potentially still one of the quicker ones, but I didn't see there any need for that. He looked to be a mile onside for a cut back. He can't be offside anyway. But yeah, it was a really good goal. The whole build up to that goal was excellent, and that's kind of like summed up the 45 for us. That was us in a microcosm, if you put it that way. Like Hatate's got the ball quite deep. It's a lovely pass out wide, and he doesn't stop. Whereas I think maybe in the first few games of the season, possibly because it was David Turnbull that would have been playing that pass rather than Hatate, he stops and doesn't make the run, but Hatate keeps on going. O'Reilly's got it. It's basically first time instinct is there's a return pass, but it's a kind of the angle pass that turns the defence. It's excellent, the whole play. And then of course, little cut back, Maeda's getting in there. Missed a couple of crosses earlier on, Maeda. His crossing wasn't the best, but he's in there, 6 yards out, bundles at home. That's a striker's goal, and that's the ones you love to score as a striker because that's your territory. That's where you should be. But all round, a really good kind of team attacking goal, and as I say, I think we can keep on doing that in the second half. And if we do, the chances will come, and we've got boys that will score goals. The next one's there for Kyogo. He's waiting for one as well. So,
I was going to ask
a
you,
lot of
Kev.
positivity going into that second half.
Yeah, we were positive before the game. You suggested a prediction of 2-1. If that was to be the case, Hearts would be coming into it in the second half. Are you going to stick with that prediction? Do you think Celtic extend their lead further?
Oh, I think I'm going to be quite happy at being wrong come the end of the second half. I think we've got another couple of goals in us. So, I don't really want James to be right all the time, but maybe, we'll go 3-0 or 4-0.
3 or 4-0. James, are you changing your prediction after that first half performance?
Yeah, I think I'll go 3-0 Celtic. 3-0.
3-0 Celtic. Sounds good to me. 800 strong in the live stream. Thanks everybody for getting involved. And, return after the game, regardless of the score, but hopefully it will be to speak about a resounding victory for Celtic. All that's left for me to say, thank you once again, Kevin McCluskey and James McKenzie, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.